They turned to the next cavern. It was extremely long, and all light disappeared. Saren had to feel his way through the dark until the tunnel expanded and poured out into a new room. A large field of light was stretched across the far wall. There were no more exits. Saren spotted a figure across the long room. Loren. Saren was elated to finally see her. He turned back to see everyone else's reactions. But no one was there. Saren was alone. What? Another test. Saren ran across the room to Loren, shouting her name. Loren did not turn around to greet him. Saren got caught in the glow of the wall and slowed to a stop. What is this? Is it a portal? He looked over at Loren, but she was turning her face away from him. Loren! Even as Saren rounded to stand in front of her, Loren refused to acknowledge Saren. Loren? Why won't you look at me? Loren turned her face away from Saren each time he tried to get her attention. Why are you ignoring me? If you are the real Saren, know that I am not playing Faust's game. But I am the real Saren. I just went through so many caverns and caves to find you. I had to fight with our friends and I brought them here, but where are they? Saren started to panic. He had no proof of what he had just been through. Your mother was with me too. Everybody. What? Queen Karen. She found me and told me about being in the Underrealm. We went through the series of tests and... Loren looked past Saren and suddenly shoved him out of the way. Out of the tunnel, Karen walked into the light. She walked calmly forward, smiling when she saw Loren. But Loren drew her sword. Who are you? Loren? That's your mother? She is not my mother. She is an imposter. Daughter. Saren recognized the exchange when Karen had first met him in this realm. Was Faust imitating her? Saren backed up from Loren and toward Karen, putting him in the center of the room. I don't know who to believe. I have already met her. Then you did not meet the real me. Loren spun around, turning her back on both Karen and Saren. Oh boy. Do safe. Talk to Loren. What did you do with the other Karen? I ignored her, as I should be doing with both of you. Loren, don't ignore us. We need you. And play into Faust's hands. I do not like being forced to play games for my enemies. Neither should you, if you are actually real. We are real. How can I prove it to you? Loren was true to her word and did not reply. Saren slowly walked up to her. My princess. Oh, what is this? What? I thought you were an Amazon, but he is a man. Mother, but you... Karen was not the real one. She couldn't be. I knew it! Loren got a hold of her hawk blade with a grunt. It glowed extremely bright, turning almost the whole room blue. Karen hissed and stepped backwards as if the light hurt her. It's true. You're not Karen at all. Karen lowered her arms from her eyes and readjusted the presence of the sword. Your control over the dark of the Underrealm is impressive. You would make a valuable minion. Never! Faust used Karen's image to laugh at Loren and Saren. They were disgusted to see Karen used in such a way. And the Princess Loren. She worked in my favor by shunning her own mother. Where is she? With your other mortal companions. In my control. Loren growled as Karen laughed again. It was enough for Loren. She sprang forward and impaled Faust's clone on the ancient sword. Faust's laughter stopped abruptly. The fake Karen bent over the sword, threatening Loren with her eyes. Your end is nigh. Then she dissolved into nothingness. Loren gaped at the empty space for a while longer. Saren rushed up to her and put a hand on her back. Are you all right? That was just an image of your mother, not really her. I didn't kill her. Loren! They both jumped from hearing Karen's voice again so soon. Out of the shadows of the tunnel came another Karen, distraught as if she had been running a long distance. They all stared at each other for a second. When Karen saw Loren, she bounded forward. Instinctively, Loren retracted in case it was Faust again. I thought I had killed you. Karen's eyes were fresh with tears as she finally caught up to her daughter. She grabbed Loren tenderly and brought her lips down to kiss her forehead. Oh, my God. Queen Karen, is that really you? Loren could remember vividly all the time she had felt her mother's warmth. She held memories of an embrace at childhood when she had won her first proving, a soft touch to the cheek on the day she came of age, and the look in her mother's eyes when she saved her from the Cthulhu ruins. And now, Loren knew that this was her mother. The feeling of her love was something she could not forget, not after it was so rarely given. Mother. Karen felt Loren finally grip her in return, squeezing her tightly. She had thought she'd lost her daughter even before the war, but she realized then that she never had. What a relief! We thought you lost for good. Saren looked back at the tunnel. Salzer walked out into the light behind Karen. Hi, guys! All right, what have I missed? You didn't kill Faust yet, did ya? Everyone, I was so worried. Loren pulled away from her mother, wiping her eyes. She resumed her stern demeanor, knowing that Faust was still at large. What is this room? They all looked to the large portal against the far wall. It rumbled mysteriously. They were mesmerized while watching it pulse. Unbelievable. Apollomesha walked up to the wall and waved his hand through the aura of light radiating from it. This is no ordinary wall. What is it? Apollomesha struck his staff against the wall, and at the end of it disappeared. Everyone held their breath when he pulled the staff back out. His staff was cut clean off. Everyone stand back! No one had to be told twice. Anyone remotely near the portal jumped backwards. I cannot believe where I stand. This is the mouth of death. We stand but paces from a permanent end. We're dead. No, not yet anyway. We're literally on death's doorstep, though. All we'd have to do is go right in, and then we're dead. So, we are in a limbo between life and death. This is pretty standard. Death Knights can't pass the barrier, but they don't want to hang around the people trying to kill them, so they reside here. We have come to the actual secret lair of Faust. My divination would have never determined that he was hiding on another realm completely. We are quite fortunate to be dying. We need to get him in there. Done. Princess, do not forget that it will not be so simple. Laughter that they all knew and feared echoed around them. And this time, there was a body to match the voice. An animated suit of armor materialized in the center of the room. Faust! I control everything. I control all of the realms. You are here only because I wanted you to be here. Many have walked your path just now. All who die must pass by the gatekeepers of the Underrealm. I am a Death Knight. You have been prepared for your death. But I saved everyone I could from corruption. Ignorant mortal. Your choices in this realm determine if you could spend eternity in torture or in bliss. Inferno and Elysium. But you will spend eternity here. A powerful force shot from Faust and knocked everyone backwards. Saren's feet never left the ground, but he still pushed back. Faust's power was too strong. Faust blasted them all back a second time. They were all closing towards their doom. You don't have to do this! We know that you were once mortal like us! Faust stopped his next attack. The dark magic of this realm corrupted you and turned you into a monster. Faust's eyes flashed and he was eerily silent. You know nothing of me, mortal. You know nothing of the world that cast me out. The cavern rumbled as Faust grew double in size. You are now in my world, and I cast you out! Faust stomped on the ground, sending another powerful shockwave. Loren grabbed at Saren as he came dangerously close to the portal. You fool! Even if not by my hands, know that you will perish! You have the biggest, smelliest, ugliest blasted bastard anyone's ever seen in both realms! To Inferno with ya! Enough! Loren heard her sword call to her. She knew that it was time to use it. She gripped the hilt of the hawk blade. Many things that were once unknown to her became known. She found impulses to perform attacks that she had never performed before. The sword was guiding her hand. With the gods on her side, she knew this fight was to happen. She knew that she was going to win. Oh boy. We've got some people suffering from some damage here. Alright. Alright, let's do it. Holy shit, Faust has separate body parts? Take this! Bam! Take this! I will drop you. Faust has 4 separate parts. Damn. Okay. I gotta heal myself. Take this! Drop it! Come on! Drop these, asshole! Drop Faust for good! He cannot be allowed to continue to be a dick! His head remains. Ah, he restored one of his arms. Come on. Drop that. Drop that arm again. Don't let him keep it up. Come on. Take this. Take this. He's almost done. Finish him off. Yes! That was remarkably easy. Faust shrank down to his original size, falling backwards against the portal to the realm of death. May you find some peace in the afterlife. Now to chuck his body where it belongs! The wall sputtered and reacted to Faust's body, but he did not fall through. He was not dead. The gateway hasn't opened for him. Apollomesto took in a deep breath. It's time. Are you ready? Saren shot a look over at Loren, his heart suddenly beating wildly in his chest. I'm not sure what you mean. Footsteps from behind startled them. He's here. Zeal! The Death Knight walked coolly towards them. You cleared my way, and you have broken him. It is my time now. What will you do? We were told he cannot be sent back to death without great sacrifice. I am made of this realm. It bends to me. Zeal leaned down and placed his hand on Faust's helmet. Faust's body began to glow. Everyone stepped back. The light pulsed up Zeal's arm and away from Faust, surrounding him instead. The light then melted into him. What was that? Zeal clenched his jaw and held his head in pain for a moment. The essence of the realm. I took it from him, and therefore his power. Zeal cavalierly picked up Faust's armor. You have stayed for too long. Then Zeal tossed the armor away from him and into the portal. All of the pieces of Faust disappeared without any contest. They all stared at the wall for any sort of reaction, but there was none. Is he really gone? He will rise no longer. I cannot believe we have trusted to one Death Knight to banish another. That looked almost too easy. And what of you? What will you do now? Zeal looked around the cavern absent-mindedly. Will you ravage Avervorn as well? Erevorn? The Death Knight finally looked at them again. You do not belong here. It is time you return to your realm. Wait! But Zeal did not hesitate in rendering them all unconscious. The sight of the Underrealm faded from their view. Saren could feel his limbs again, and he could see it too. The dreamlike haze had completely left him. He picked himself off the ground. Ash fell from him. The volcano that once housed Faust's lair had been destroyed. All around him, his comrades rose from the rubble and helped each other to stand. Loren and Karen were standing by the edge of the new cliffside, looking down below. The armies below were celebrating a great victory and tending to the wounded. They had truly won the day. Saren took several very sore steps to stand by his majesties. They received him with a smile that said a million words. Then Loren rushed forward and gave Saren a deep kiss. They looked over at the horizon together, rescue teams began to scale the volcano's cliff. The sun was the same as the one they had seen the morning they marched from Hammerhands, but at the moment, it looked brand new. Loren was crowned Queen of the Amazons. She was welcomed warmly by her people. Celebrations were held for months after the crowning, toasting to Loren and Karen's great triumphs. Loren made sure to use the knowledge that the Great Mothers had bestowed upon her in her trial. Though her rule would be different from tradition, it would be for the better. Loren's first act as queen was to release Seren from service, making him a free man. The transition was not as great as Seren was expecting, as he had been given much more freedom than he realized, but the feel of first stepping out of the Citadel's gate would be a memory he would long remember. The most important decree of Loren's rule was the immediate release of all slaves from the service of the Citadel. All sons born of Amazon women were to be given full rights and citizenship, as a daughter would have. Not everyone was pleased with the new direction of the Amazons, and some rebelled against Loren. However, they learned that she was not a weak queen. Loren handled all of her challengers with ease, earning her their newfound respect. Between Seren, Loren, and her defenders, the discrimination against men slowly faded away, as they proved to be a beneficial part of their society. The concept of a male Amazon became more of a reality as their civilization grew. Loren rewrote Amazon law to allow Seren, and those that would come after him, all the privileges that any queen's mate should have. Loren wanted it for Seren, but it was also in recognition of her mother, who was driven away from the Citadel because of such laws. Seren loved and protected Loren for the rest of his life. She was a generous ruler, and an even more generous lover. She would only threaten to re-establish the palace harem when they argued, but he would always manage to convince her that wasn't what she truly wanted. Loren gave birth to a healthy boy, their son. Seren welcomed fatherhood as the Amazons welcomed their first Amazon prince. Karen became a representative of the Amazons to the Empire and the Elves. She helped change the world's views of the Amazons, just as Loren was changing things within the Citadel. She found ways to build trust with the lizard people in the swamp, and helped show Aravorn they were intelligent and unique, race worthy of respect. The Dark Elves were reintroduced to the forest thanks to Mirth. All settlements in the desert were invited to the Grand Tree. Some stayed behind, not wanting to abandon their 1,000-year-old heritage. Most, however, wanted to return to the forest. It was a difficult assimilation for both sides, but a little time and reminders of the Great War of Everburn reduced their petty differences to nothing of consequence. Mesfit took his father's place as the leader of the Desert Dark Elves. He could never return to the forest like his brothers, but it was comfort enough for him to know that it was now an option available to his people. The call inside of him would never truly go away, but he learned how to overcome it. Mirth became a renowned elder druid, calming radical isolationists and showing the beauty of opening the forest up to the world. Though some elves still insisted that they didn't want to be influenced by any outside culture, most elves saw that they could keep their culture while embracing others. The Empire made efforts to repair the rift between the human and the elven nations after pressure on the council from Apollomesho, who was reinstated as Archwizard by popular demand. There was great support from both populations, easing the passing of a decree that formally made the two nations allies. Apollomesho himself was finally able to pursue his alchemy in ways that could help the whole world, and not just himself. He took on as many apprentices as he could handle and helped spread his knowledge of the science across Aravorn. Many lives would be saved from his discoveries. Dora lived with Ramus in his family's estate in Hammerhands, helping to rebuild the city and their new family. Ramus made sure that he provided Dora with a good life, and a few shiny presents now and then to keep her out of any jails. Ray's prejudice against Dark Elves disappeared over time. He even became an advocate for their integration back into the forest. He put his assassin days behind him and tried to put his skills to better use. Draco was requested to become a professor at Horus Magic Academy by none other than Professor Howl himself. Draco accepted the job and became a favorite teacher, but he also helped the school become a more safe and hospitable place for its students. Amokiki worked to help re-establish the nomad tribes in the north. While some were moving back south to find their herds, many nomads wished to stay, Amokiki helped spread tolerance and support for his people after the nomads came to respect him. And the nomads came to respect him instead of shun him. Salzar returned to Mount Kronos a better monk. He imparted everything he learned to his disciples. With the undead lowering in numbers, Salzar was pleased to let more disciples travel freely away from the mountain to do good in society, as he had done so much after leaving himself. Shambara was finally allowed to move back to her home in the swamps, where she lived in solitude as she really preferred. Witch hunters would never cease to exist, but Shambara herself had earned a good enough name to live in relative safety for the rest of her life. The candle flickers its last breath of life, snuffing out the light in the room as it turns to liquid wax. The monk continues to hold his quill above the page, now too dark to write more. He leans back into his chair, satisfied with the story he had managed to write thus far. Even though there is more to tell, the story of Loren, Princess of the Amazons, had reached its end. The monk's withered hand reached up to his cloak and pulled down the hood around his white locks of hair. He approaches the monastery's window. The tale of Loren had been written, and her people would read from these scrolls, learning how glorious a queen her great mothers must have welcomed. The breeze smells of lavender. He closes his eyes and smells. He still misses her. Saren leaves the window and slips into his bed, prepared for the relief of a deep, deep sleep. That was Loren, the Amazon Princess, everybody. It's a damn fun game, actually. Had a really good time with that. It's a pretty difficult game to wrap your arms around because it really is a simple style. You got to do a lot of character reading and stuff like that. There's not voice acting. It's not, it's not simple stuff, but it was, that was really good. I liked it. I mean, I don't know. I wish they had avoided saying that Saren was the one who was writing the story and now he's old and Loren's dead and all that. Maybe that's just because it feels like that makes it a little bittersweet. But maybe not. I mean, at the same time, you get to see how everybody lived very, very happily. Yeah, anyway, I really liked this. It was really fun and kind of simple, and for some reason this thing cannot record the frame rates with fraps at all, so I'm sorry that it's going to kind of muffle its way through the end of the credits here, but that was a really good game. So if you can check it out, you can get it at winterwolves.com, or you can find it on Steam now, thanks to popular demand, I guess. I got it on Steam, and then I went and downloaded it from the website as well, just so that it was a little easier to access on my computer. Know that if you get the Steam version, you have full access to the Winter Wolves version. So you can pick whichever one you want, and you're good to go. I will definitely take a look at the sequel when it comes out, and I am really looking forward to it. Thanks for the great game, guys. Oh, extra. The Everburn Mountains were the quietest they had ever been, but the smoke still billowed from the black volcano. Inside the remnants of Faust's lair, the forgotten ashes of his armor looked like nothing more than dust. The ashes were playfully kicked by a lone succubus. who then stood dominant over the vanquished demon lord. Jewel was free of his control and his bothersome rules. She had helped return him to power, but she was never valued. Now, Everburn was hers. I finally found you. His voice was tender. Her thoughts dissolved. Oh, Zeal. Zeal stepped into the broken room and revealed himself to Jewel. Tears welled up in her eyes at the sight. Zeal! Oh, Zeal! She ran to him and they embraced. I told you I would find you. Jewel laughed and hugged him closer. I knew it was you. I could feel you when it happened. But I couldn't believe it because this realm is ours now. We will make them understand. You and your kind will finally be at peace. She caressed his face. And we will be together? Zeal closed his eyes and pressed her back into him. They were silent for days. Dun-dun! You have unlocked cheat mode. When you start the game again, press C key to access a cheat menu. Story mode will let you automatically win all battles. Useful if you want to replay the game quickly to see an alternate ending. That is pretty cool. Thanks, guys. That's a nice addition. So yeah, that's it for me, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you for the next game. Adios.